Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to talk about what I believe to be the worst thing in every Souls game. Specifically, I'll be talking about Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1 through 3, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring, as those are the games I have the most experience with each having multiple playthroughs behind them, whereas something like Sekiro, I only have one playthrough under it and not that much experience. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, let's start with the game that started it all, Demon Souls. What I believe to be the worst thing in Demon Souls are the bosses, aka the allure of all Souls games. The bosses in Demon Souls have a total of 2 to 3 attacks they can throw at you. For example, the Penetrator, probably one of the better bosses in that game, only has 3 attacks he can use against the player. This leads to the boss feeling extremely underwhelming and predictable. On top of that, the majority of bosses are gimmick bosses. Tower Knight, for example, you have to attack his ankles. Adjudicator, you have to attack the giant knife in his stomach. And for the first use of the Storm Ruler in the Souls series, it's used to fight the King of Storms, in the same manner as Yorm the Giant in Dark Souls 3. And of course, let's not forget the most disappointing boss in that game, being Dragon God. All you have to do is fire 2 harpoons into him in a forced stealth section, and then he's dead. Next, let's talk about Dark Souls 1. I think it's pretty obvious that once you get the Lord Vessel from Guinevere, the latter half of the game becomes a massive slog in getting the Lord Souls, specifically from Bed of Chaos and Gravelord Nito. For Bed of Chaos, the entirety of Lost Izalith is extremely disappointing. It's so clearly unfinished with lava oceans populated with I can only describe as dragon asses. Even before that, the Demon Ruins, the area unlocked after killing Ceaseless Discharge, wild name for a boss by the way, is so clearly underbaked. They just took a bunch of Taurus and Carpet Demons, enemies that were previously bosses earlier in the game, and just placed them around the level. All that to get to the lamest boss ever, Bed of Chaos, which you'll more likely be a victim to over janky hitboxes, either outright killing you, or you'll be pushed to a pitfall trap. As for Nito, the worst part is Tomb of Giants. If you didn't unlock the Izalith shortcut to kill a Sunlight Parasite, or were unlucky and a Necromancer didn't drop their Skull Lantern, good luck trying to find your way through the catacombs in complete darkness. Enemies lurk in the dark, including giant skeletons and even a Black Knight, and if they don't end you, falling off the ledge will. Moving on to Dark Souls 2, the worst thing has to be enemy aggression. In Dark Souls 2, if you run past a group of enemies, they will chase you until they physically can't anymore. You'll either need to climb up or down a ladder or make it to the boss fog. Even if you make it to a boss fog, good luck getting past it because the enemies chasing you will interrupt your animations and you'll more than likely end up dying, sending you back to your previous bonfire, which is more than likely in Timbuktu, since boss runbacks are atrocious in that game. Lastly, for the Dark Souls trilogy, let's talk about Dark Souls 3. In my opinion, the worst thing about Dark Souls 3 is how linear it is. Whereas previous titles had some level of connectivity behind their level design, Dark Souls 3 rails the player hard, insisting the player goes from one location to another, one after another. There are subsections that are connected, for instance, the Crucifixion Woods connecting to Farron Keep and the Cathedral of the Deep, as well as their subsequent bosses, but the game as a whole is very disconnected between levels. There's no way to say to get to Lothric Castle from the Carthus Ruins, for example. Onwards to my favorite Souls game, Bloodborne, the worst thing is easily the dungeons. Now, in theory they seem like a good idea. Infinite procedurally generated content, but in reality it means the same, and if not the same, then extremely similar layout to every dungeon forever you run. The bosses, save for a handful, are extremely lame compared to the base game and DLC. Who in their right mind is gonna say, oh yeah dude, my favorite boss in Bloodborne is easily the Undead Giant. On top of everything, the lackluster bosses, repetitive dungeon layout, they locked a hidden boss that is needed for a full trophy platinum, that being the Queen of Yharnam herself. And continuing on bosses, a lot of them are reused, such as Rom, Celestial Emissary, and Ebrietas. Last, but certainly not least, let's talk about Elden Ring. The worst thing in Elden Ring has to be the balancing. Once you defeat Morgott and make your way to the Forbidden Lands and the mountaintop of the giants, enemies start hitting like an actual truck, to the point where you can easily get 3-shot if you didn't level up Vigor. And it's not a steady increase in difficulty, it's more of a sheer cliff face you run into. Whereas the first half of the game, including Limgrave all the way to Lionel, felt like a steady increase in difficulty where enemies slowly gain more health and start dealing just a bit more damage as you progress. But Mountaintop of the Giants is such a sudden increase in difficulty, it feels extremely jarring. Anyway guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Let me know what you thought and feel free to share what you feel is the worst thing from the Soulsborne series in the comments below. And as always, stay safe, stay beautiful, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.